The Elder Scrolls Online has sent players to many of the lands of Tamriel. 15 years after its introduction in The Elder Scrolls III, the province of Morrowind is set to be revisited in ESO. It's a nostalgic trip back for those that played the original RPG, a history lesson for those that haven't. The Morrowind expansion in ESO takes players to Vardenfell, 700 years prior to the events of the original game. While there have been some creative liberties taken with this expansion, Bethesda definitely hits the notes that needed to be hit, recreating the look and feel of the province in terms of things like architecture, vegetation, factions, and characters found throughout this massive new zone. There's really no mistaking Vardenfell's iconic locations, the volcanic Vivec City, Ashlands, Bitter Coast, and many other cities and landmarks have been carried forward. It's almost a testament to how good that original game was in its world-building efforts. For Morrowind's many distinct regions and characters to still resonate to this day is incredible considering how far games have come in the meantime. The Elder Scrolls Online has changed a lot since its initial release, and it's a lot of fun to play in its current form. It's still not quite a substitute for the Elder Scrolls 6, but this newest content feels dialed in terms of storytelling and world building, making this feel more like a Bethesda Game Studios RPG and less like a traditional MMO. That's not to say that ESO doesn't still have those MMO roots, because it does. Players who really want to dig into these elements of ESO will find a lot of content. From high-level endgame missions and dungeons to guilds and PvP modes, The Elder Scrolls Online has plenty to do in it. Alongside the massive new landmass to explore, all of the game's core features get built out with more content, and there's been some new modes and features added to the game as well. The new Warden Class is one of these new additions, and the first new class in the game since launch. This jack-of-all-trades character has the ability to be built out as a tank, healer, or damage dealer. Following the trend of other classes in ESO, the Warden doesn't have to be built in any specific way. You can mix and match abilities for this character, making them custom to your playstyle. While PvP is nothing new to ESO, the Morrowind expansion does introduce Battlegrounds. Different than the Alliance War, Battlegrounds takes classic multiplayer modes like Team Deathmatch, Capture the Flag, and Domination, and kind of shoehorns them into this world. The matches are fast and frantic, taking no longer than 10 minutes, featuring 3 teams of 4 players. Battlegrounds is definitely not the game's strongest point by any means, but it is another in the long list of things to do in ESO. What does feel like the game's strong suit at this point are the PvE aspects of the game, with the latest update allowing players to explore this world as they see fit, whether that's by themselves or with other players. On the group side, Morrowind introduces new public dungeons, a new trial for high-level players, and a world boss within the zone that players can group up to defeat. For the tourist or solo players, there are new delves to explore, a pretty lengthy new story, and plenty of side questing to be done. The expansion on itself offers probably between 30 to 40 hours of new content. This could be a lot more for players that are jumping into ESO for the first time. The Morrowind expansion was built specifically both for the existing fanbase and new players to enjoy equally. The mixture of 3 years of updates and this new content could hook you in for the full experience that'll last for hundreds of hours. Heading back to Tamriel for the first time in a couple years, ESO feels more like a traditional Elder Scrolls game than it has in the past. The story elements are worthwhile for fans of the lore, capturing the essence of the core series, while also being able to satisfy those hungering for the MMO elements. While it might not be the Morrowind remake that Elder Scrolls fans have been clamoring for, Bethesda has done a great job with one of its most iconic locations in this expansion.